This is a digital video of the Duplo Dbm 100 Bookletmaker with stitch, fold, and trim. And this is very similar to also to the Duplo 120. Both are the compact size booklet makers with the staple cartridges type of staplers versus stitch heads. And these are compact design used in many applications. On copiers, they're used on collators, they're used on DSF feeders. So they're very popular. But we're doing a get acquainted video, and so you get an idea what these machines are about. Now, what's the first thing you want to do? Well, the first thing you want to do is what most people don't do. Take the time to sit down with the manual and read it, study it, with the machine there at hand, and kind of go over it. Sometimes it's not written in the greatest of American, but it's written in English, but it's not American, so you have to kind of figure out what they're trying to say. But let's start with the specification sheet. Maximum sheet size 17 3/4 by 12.5. I say 17.5 by 12. It seems to operate really well that way. Your standard staple length is going to limit you to how many sheets you can process. Now, here on the paper, it says here that you can stapling capacity, fine quality paper, 22 pound, equivalent to 25 sheets or less. I say 20 pound or 50 pound offset. I say no more than 15 signatures. If you have to go over 15, try to stick with 50 pound offset, and you can go to 20. But that's what I'm saying is the maximum that you should try to run. This is not a substitute for a perfect binder. Okay, now the next thing, same thing for the folding capacity. You also have to consider the capability of the machine. We're trying to recommend what's going to give you the best results. Now, what we've done on our test run here is first we've run a 10-point cover, chrome coat on one side, UV coated with 10 60-pound offset inside pages. Ran fine. 15, a little bit problematic, sticking, jamming, creating problems. So just keep that, take it under advisement, that 10 sheets of 60-pound offset and a 10-point cover, no problem. The next thing we did was, let's see how many, self-cover pages. A self-cover is basically a booklet, it's the same paper all the way through. And this, again, is 60-pound offset, 11 by 17. We found that 15 sheets, a breeze. 20 sheets, you have to finesse with it a little bit, but it'll do it. But 15 sheets is the maximum I would recommend with 60-pound offset, which is just a little heavier than 50-pound offset. And then of course we did test runs, ideally with 10 or 12 or 14, it ran beautifully. Now, getting acquainted with this machine, first of all, you have to realize that this is an auto set, yet it's not 100% auto set. In other words, you can't push the size and start throwing booklets at the machine. There are things you have to do. First of all, your stitch position. Now, what I recommend, unless it's a critical thing with your customer, is that the stitch heads be left in this position for both 8.5 by 11 and 11 by 17. The staples will be a little bit on the outside for 8.5 by 11, and a little bit on the inside for 11 by 17, but for most applications it works fine. But if you have to have the staples where in a specific position, you have several positions that you can see on your bar that you can position the staple. But you also have to move the clincher underneath. So it's not automated, That way, you have to change that. Now there's other things you can do manually. But we're going to go into the things that you have to do manually right now. If you're going to move your stitch heads, don't forget you have to move your clinchers too. There's a special tool provided for that purpose. It explains it in the manual. Now, this is adjusting for the fold. As you can see right here, you have this black knob with an orange dot on it, and you see all those holes going up and down. See that? Well, that's your fold adjustment for different thicknesses of paper. You're able to see this right now because I had to remove the module that usually goes in here. So, see where I've got it set right now? That's where I was running the 15 signatures of 60-pound offset. And the next notch down is where I was running the chrome coat with 15 signatures, so that's almost like maxed out. Now the manual says that in this far open position, it's for 20 thousandths of an inch in clearance. So, 20 thousandths is not a lot. So that's how you set that. Now, you're adjusting. The rest of it is pretty much done automatically. Now the other manual thing you have to do is right here. You see the little diagram that shows there's two rollers together and over here separated? Well, what that does is it raises the belt up and down. Down for thin booklets, up for thick booklets. Pretty simple, right? You have that little lever right here. Down for thin, up for thick. Down for thin, up for thick. So the only manual things that you have to do are basically 4 functions. If you move the stitcher head, you have to move the clinchers and move these, loosen the bolt, slide them over to the position you want. Secondly, you have to adjust the fold pressure. Thirdly, you have to adjust the height of your support roller. All that does is grab the top of the book, you know, kind of holds the book down tight to give you a good even trim. And you have to adjust the exit wheels back and forth for different sizes of book. But right here you have the different sizes, so all you have to do is move, you know, if you're running letter size, you move it back here, you know, so depending on A4 is right here, and LD is right there, 11 by 17, so it's, I mean, you can't get any simpler than that.